have this woven in, but before we come back on our pattern here, we have a widening on this side. So our color change was here. We did course 15 and then back 16. So we came across this way, but now we want to do our widening on this end, on the right hand side of course 16. And we're going to do basically a fully fashioned widening. And I like to do the widening on the end where, like the non-working end of the yarn. And what this does is it maintains the right amount of tension. If we had the working end here, then the tension is going to be inconsistent because that working end isn't going to have any tension on it. If we do it on the pass after we've already moved and the loops and the stitches are already formed, then the tension should be more uniform. And so what you can see here, what we're doing is on the right hand side, we're doing the stitch moves and the widening on the even rows, and on the left hand side we're doing the widening on the odd rows. So that way, and we're going to do it alternating, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're doing 10 total. So from this point on, every course there's going to be one stitch move on alternating sides, so for a total of 10. All right, so we're going to do this these stitch moves, and this is what they call a fully fashioned widening, and we're going to go in 2 rows first, as you can see on our pattern. We're doing 2 stitch moves over, and the way we do that is we have our tool. We're going to pull these out, put the tool over the hooks, push that back so that the loops are now off the hooks, then pull it forward. And then we make sure that our needles latches are open, and then we put this onto the, we moved over 2 stitches over 1, pull that out. And now what we're looking to do, this fully fashioned widening requires that we take this purl bump off of the next stitch over. All right, so that's the purl bump. We're not taking the stitch, we're actually taking just the basically it's the head of the previous stitch. They call the purl bump. We're taking that off and moving it over 1, like so. So now we have a loop on every needle, and we put those back into the knitting position. All right, so that's our fully fashioned widening. And at this point, we'll also put these weights. We want to start moving these weights up so that we are still making good stitches on these ends. All right, and we'll do the same over here. All right, now we're ready to weave this back and weave this tail in. All right, so we're going to do a similar thing. These are all in the knitting position. Pull this over carefully. Let's reset that. All right, we're going to very carefully do the second one here. All right. So this tail is woven in now. Then again, as we mentioned before, according to our pattern, we're going to do a stitch move on, widening stitch move on this side now. So we're alternating. When the carriage goes this way, we stitch move here. When the carriage moves this way, we do our stitch move on this side. And we're going to do a total of 10 of those stitch moves in our pattern. All right, for this fully fashioned widening, we do the same thing again, but we're doing it on this side. So we take out, we want these 2 stitches here, and you can widen by 1, 2, or 3, or however many you want. Pull these onto the transfer tool. Then we open up these 2 needles, Put them onto there. And then we grab this pearl bump off the next one. Make sure you just get the pearl bump, nothing else. Okay, like so. Okay, and put that onto here. All right, and then put these back into the knitting position. All right, and we're just going to continue to do that through our pattern until we get to all 10, and then we're going to cast off here. In the meantime, we still have to take care of our cabling on the middle. All right, and cabling is going to start on the next row. All right, we're currently here. I'm going to go ahead and do one more pass over here to get to this side, and then do the stitch move, and then we're going to talk about how to do this these stitch moves for the cabling. All right, now when we do our cabling, these stitch swaps here, labeled 4 and 5, the way this works is that because these are going to be stretched, these loops are going to be stretched, we want actually more tension in this section to give us a slightly longer loop. But we want to maintain the same tension or loop length in these other sections. Otherwise, we'll have witness lines here. It'll look weird. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the carriage just up to the cable. Then we're going to come back and do this middle section of cable stitches by hand. We're going to hand move the needles to get the right loop length that we want in these sections. And then we're going to come back again and do a third pass going this way with our standard tension to finish up this pass. So it's going to be three passes. One for this first section, the second one we're going to do by hand, and the third one we're going to come back this way. So let me demonstrate that. All right, we're going to start by taking the needles that are in our cable. We're going to take these out of work. You might have a machine where you could take them out of work by pushing them back, but in this case, we're putting them in the forward hold position, which is still out of work. Now we only have these 6 needles here, 7 actually, 7 needles, and we're going to run the carriage as we would normally, but we're going to run it all the way across, except the stitches will stop here, or they should stop there. All right, and pull that down. All right, we still want the carriage to go all the way across, like so. All right, and put the carriage back on the left side. All right, now we're going to knit, we're going to knit these needles here in the cable, but we're going to do that by hand. And first we're going to put these in the hold position. Put our yarn back to the left-hand side, and then we're going to put the cable in the knitting position, and we want the latches to be open. Just the cable section, and I've written here for easy viewing where my cable section is. So I'm going to put these needles into the working position, or sorry, the knitting position. Okay. And then now we're going to just do this manually. We're going to just lay the yarn across. And in this strategy, I'm only going to do longer loop lengths on the middle two. So this will be a normal loop length, longer, longer, normal, and then come over to here, normal, longer, longer, normal. All right, I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so we're just going to pull this in. It's about 1/4 of an inch for a standard, and then we're going to pull this other one back the full length. So almost 1/2 inch. And then the second one, 1/2 inch. And then back to a short one. All right, so that's our first cable. And again, we go short, short, long, long, short. That's our second cable. That's the offset. Short, long, long, short. All right, that's our third cable. Okay, so now we have these stitches where our cable are. The two stitches in the middle of our cable are slightly longer, which will allow us to then cross these over without an excess amount of tension. All right. Okay, but before we do that crossover, we need to finish up. We need to finish this course all the way over. So we're going to put these. I want to pull this down a little bit, get some good tension on that first, and then put these needles in the hold position. And then from where this yarn, the working end is, we're going to put the rest of these back into the knitting position. All right. Okay. Then we're going to rethread our carriage. All right, we're going to rethread our carriage here. Put that on this side. All right. These are in the hold position. All of our latches are open, and we're going to finish up this course all the way across. Should start making stitches here. All right. Okay, now we're going to put all of these in the hold position. Okay, now we're going to start doing our stitch moves for the cabling. All right, in our pattern for a cable, a 4 is a stitch move that goes under, and a 5 is a stitch move that goes over. And so what we want to do is we want to pull off of 5 first, then move 4 to 5, and then 5 to 4. And what you're going to do is you're going to use tools like this that match the gauge of your machine. And you can buy these on Amazon, but I've made these custom. And we're going to start by, in our pattern here, 5 is in the middle. So that will be, all right. I've actually switched patterns here, so because I'm doing a different cable. But same thing is true here. So 4 goes under, 5 goes over. So what we want to do here is we want to take them off 5 first, then put 4 onto 5, and then 5 onto 4. All right, and we're going to do that using these stitch move tools. You can buy these on Amazon. These were custom made. But we're going to start with this one right here, 5 and 4. So I'm going to take, same way we did the fully fashioned widening, we're going to take these off here. And we're just going to put this, we're going to hold that here. And with some practice, you could do this with without having to hold that. Take the second one off. And now we're going to put this, we're going to put the 4 onto 5, which is here. And then we're going to put the 5 onto 4. And you just got to make sure that these latches are open. All right, this is going to take some practice because it does take a little bit of dexterity to do this well without these things falling off. and then make sure these stay in the hold position. All right, we're gonna do the same thing for these two. And you'll notice on this pattern, this is basically doing a snake pattern. So it's 4 and 5 here, and then 5 and 4, and then 4 and 5, and then it alternates. So for this next one, we're gonna do 5 is here, and then 4 is here. All right, so same thing again. Pull these stitches off. We just hold them. This was 5, now this one's 4. Move that up, take that off, and put 4 onto 5, because 4 goes under. Put those stitches on there, and then 5 onto 4. That's over. All right, like so. All right, and then again on this one, 5, 4, 4 goes on to 5, and then 5 goes on to 4. I want these latches open. All right, so those are our cable moves. We still have one more thing to do, because on the same course as our cable, we also have this widening on the right. So we're going to do that. Okay, so we're going to do the widening again on this side. I'll just demonstrate it one more time. Move these over. And then grab this purl bump. Just the purl bump, and then put it onto that needle. Okay. All right. Now we need to put all these needles back into the knitting position. Okay, so we put all these back into the knitting position. We make sure all of our latches are open. All right, there's going to be a little bit of extra tension here, so you want to be careful when you do that next pass, and you may actually want to move these claw weights up and over to make sure we're getting good tension. All right, now we want to carefully, because there's extra tension here, you just want to be a little careful when you make this next pass. There's the tension. All right, so these all made good stitches here. All right, so we're going to continue to do that. And basically every third course, we're going to do another cable. And then every other course, you want to do your stitch widening. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to meet you over here after our last widening on the right-hand side. And we'll show you how to do the cast off of this thumb right here, this thumb section. All right, so I'm going to do this, and I'll meet you right here.